we're only allowed to eat 5 spoonfuls of eggplant water
at a time.
At most 5 times a day.
And a veggie burger for lunch.
I wonder everybody's tempers are so short. Nobody's eating anything. Here we are, and welcome to another episode of the Friday Night Movie Podcast. This week, we're going to dive deep into lots of TV that we've been watching, especially Mindy Kaling's Never Have I Ever Season 2, which we finished. But also, we're going to talk about White Lotus, which is kind of rushed ahead to become more interesting to us than Never Have I Ever really quickly. So we might end up spending a little more time on White Lotus. But first, let me ask my sisters. How are you doing? Lily, how are you?
Lily's not great. Let me answer for her.
I'm fine.
It's a bit of a temper today.
I don't have a temper.
Is it because you missed acupuncture? Lily and I are going to acupuncture every single day now, and the acupuncturist wants us on a very strict regimen of only eating the broth, the water from boiled vegetables. So it can actually be real broth, but 5 spoonfuls at a time, 5 times a day. We're clearly not following this diet, but thinking about it is making me so hungry. I'm in a bad mood, and I'm eating normally.
Not only that, this acupuncture is like the drive-through of acupuncture.
Yeah,
like you just run into the office,
drive-through.
They throw a needle at you, and then they run away.
Oh yeah, it's super fast. It's exactly.
The turnover's insane.
I like the relaxing.
The spa.
No, this is not a spa situation.
With like a heated bed, like one of those heated massage beds and like extra blankies. No, this is like you're basically laying on a wooden board
being tortured,
and he's cranking the electrical,
I feel like
rods.
I feel like I've been to that guy before. Believe
Shai,
it.
you've probably been to everyone.
So
I feel like I've been to that guy before.
So Shai, I have a story. I have a story for you. So I'm driving with Becky in the car, probably back from acupuncture. It's the only time I've seen Becky this week. And we're driving back, and Becky's like, I'm so excited. I'm going to move the TV that's in the basement at my house to the kitchen because one of the kitchen's not really working well. I really can't wait to move it into the kitchen so I can watch TV while I cook. And I was like, well, couldn't you? I'm like, sure. She's like, I've been waiting months to do this, and I'm really excited to do it. And I was like, couldn't you use an iPad or some kind of tablet while you cook in your kitchen? And she's like, no. I need like real good picture. I need good sound quality.
I need good volume is what I was saying. The iPad's never going to be loud enough.
It's not going to be loud enough. You could use AirPods, but whatever, earphones. And she's like, no. I just really want like a good TV watching experience. And I was like, wow, like what kind of documentaries are you watching while you cook? Like, what high quality cinema are you watching in your kitchen? And she's like, high quality cinema? I need to watch Love is Blind. And I was like,
there's like 2 new episodes.
I was like, you need a whole new TV for this in your kitchen? And she was like, I was like, what? Why do you need such a good picture? And she goes, I need great volume. It's all about the talking. And I could not believe that this is my documentary filmmaker sister telling me.
I feel like that title gets thrown around here a lot, and I've done a lot of things in my career, and I don't want to be held to some standard where everything I consume needs
I have
to be
been
highbrow.
told. I have been told by Becky that that I don't watch anything challenging anymore. Once you say that to a sibling, you will never not be the highbrow sibling.
It's like I spend every day consuming serious content. On my downtime, I need a little drama. I need need to keep it light.
Well, a dramedy that we loved last season that is back, and I'll just say we had mixed feelings on this year, is Never Have I Ever, and it's a wonderful coming of age story.
Personally hurt by this season.
By this season, I think
I'm
the
really
first
sad.
half of the season. So, in
First
short,
4 episodes are amazing.
Yeah, this is a show about Davey. It leaves off last season where she kisses Ben, but then Paxton, the more handsome, traditionally handsome guy, anyways, she's in a love triangle. She's dealing with the death of her
Paxton also
father.
kisses
There's
her.
this beautiful emotional ending of the season, and it picks up with her potentially being forced to move to India, a plot line that gets resolved quite quickly, but results in the introduction of her grandmother, who is great. And I'll just say my view of the show is that it is at its strongest when it is about the relationships between the generations and the women in the show, more so than it is a school teenage rom-com sex comedy type thing. I think there are better versions of that, but the relationship between her mother is particularly amazing. But they sort of eased off on it for a lot of this season. I guess maybe because they actually hit those milestones in the previous season. I don't know. But that's one big arc. Then there is the introduction of a new character named Anissa, who is the second Indian girl in her class, and she's struggling with competing with her because they're also friends, and she's also super cool. Then there's the story of Kamala and her lab partner, but also her traditional boyfriend, and she might be in love with the Donald from Pitch Perfect, who's also a teacher and very cool and sensitive.
Mr. K, maybe? Is his name?
Yeah, Mr. Kulkarni. Mr. Kulkarni. And
he's from Pitch Perfect?
Yeah. I sure hope so. Yeah, for sure.
He's
Bumper
on...
and Donald getting it. Yeah, that's him from the first Pitch Perfect.
I feel like he's in everything Mindy Kaling does, though. Like,
yeah,
he's
she
great.
Cast him
He shows
as her
up.
Brother.
He was her brother in the Mindy Project, right?
Yeah, and
he's great. He's intense and stuff. Was he in Brittany Runs a Marathon?
I don't know I don't remember if he was in that.
I think he's in Brittany Runs a Marathon. I also thought, is he in Special?
So great.
What
also,
my kid?
Oh my God, he was also just in Special.
Yeah,
I feel like he's always turning up as like the attractive 30-year-old Indian guy, you know,
like he plays Robbie in Special.
Right. He's not like the young like high school hottie, and he's not like the mature man, but like the sort of in like mid-30s. Yeah. In everything right now. It's great. He's adorable.
And he's also on a TV show that I love with my kids called Unleashed, which
oh my God, he's on that too.
He's one of
please
the hosts.
Don't say you love that, because that's really no.
What?
No.
People do the dog tricks and stuff, and they solve mysteries with squirrels and stuff. I don't know. I like that show. I think he was.
I don't see that on his IMDb though. Are you sure?
No, I don't see it on his IMDb, but I'm pretty sure
there could be a reason it's not on his IMDb. Like he might not want it on his IMDb.
Oh wait, is he not on that show? No, I think he's on a show. He's for sure on a show. Hold on a second.
He's in a lot of stuff. But he was in Godmother also with Jillian Bell again.
Yeah, he's great. Anyways, while I think about this, I think he's on that show. I'm pretty sure he's on that show. My kids are always, they watch a show that he's on, and they're always telling me, it's the guy from Pitch Perfect. Anyways, he's barely in this season of the show, and we've spent a lot of time talking about it. There are some big character arcs. Davey, always evolving. Ben and Paxton Hall Yoshida, a lot of time on Paxton Hall Yoshida, who I do not find interesting. He's like Jordan Catalano light. And then there's a bunch of new characters. There's
a lot of time on Trent this season.
Well, he got more screen time, a lot more Trent screen time. And he's not a good person. Like, Trent is miserable.
Not a good person, not a good like character. I don't know what all that Trent time last season, what did they do with that time?
He just said like insulting things and called Davey names that weren't Davey. Yeah, and somehow he ends up going out with one of the characters. Anyways, so but I would say the big thing this season is her love triangle and her trying to decide between these two guys. It's her cousin's quest for recognition in her career, which is a really noble storyline, but it's not interesting. But at least the villain is played by PJ Byrne, who played Bolin on
Right. I feel like
Avatar.
This issue of women not being credited for their work is a really irrelevant one. But
yeah,
it just wasn't done in an interesting way. You're right.
Yeah. By the way, Utkarsh Ambudkar is 100% on Unleashed, so I'm not wrong.
Okay.
All All right. So there were a bunch of, so which character arc was most interesting to you? For me, I'd say the mother is always the most interesting to me. And the fact that she's potentially growing beyond her love, or she's going out and potentially dating, that she's brought her mother-in-law into her life to help her navigate life. To me, Nirmala's character has been really, really, really interesting and continues to be. Now, maybe that's because I'm a parent, but that's my favorite arc of the show. I don't know. What are you all feeling?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. But really more so in like those last, maybe like in those last 2 episodes or 3 episodes.
Okay, I see what you mean. I think at the beginning too, when she goes to India and she has to sort that out.
Yeah.
What about you, Lily?
I think that I want to say that it's somebody else, but there's no other story arc that I thought was interesting this season.
Most growth that it feels,
maybe
the most growth, no, she doesn't have any growth. And the most growth that it feels like Davey has in this season is really just in the ending when she says, I won't be your secret girlfriend. And you think, well, that's an important thing to stand up for. And that's an important lesson to learn, have some self-respect, but that's about it. The rest of it, she just sort of feels like she's going in circles.
Not a shitty friend.
I don't know. She kind of just mostly feels like she's going, like she grows and then she kind of regresses and she grows and she regresses, which is normal. But
she wasn't shitty to her friends this year, like the previous year.
Well, except for Anissa, who she was much worse than she was to any of her own friends.
I think what made it hard for me to like have any investment in her story arc, which is too bad because at the beginning I was so excited that the love triangle was kind of blew up really fast. I was like, oh no, the whole season is just going to be about her and these 2 guys. And then that blew up really fast when she was cheating on them. So that was great. But then I was like, wow, now what are they going to fill it with? Well, by the end of the season, I was like, oh, I wish we just went into I wish I had a love triangle to talk about the whole season. Because
I did not
like her, that the whole waste of like 2 episodes on her not actually starting a rumor about somebody being anorexic was just not interesting to me.
It is an interesting lesson.
Hold on. But I do like the fact
before we get the rumor.
Before we get into that, what I did like when I think about it in retrospect, although it wasn't so enjoyable to watch, is that they do make her character go to a darker, not a darker place, but she, like I said, she continues to make bad choices and like poor choices and show poor judgment. And she's not just growing, getting better and better, but she's kind of, she's in a pretty low place.
But I think like 15, 16 or however old she should be, I feel like that's when I made some of my dumbest social decisions.
Agreed.
And that is where I identify with her. And now that scene where she isn't really the one to start the rumor, but I think the show does show you how you shouldn't be thoughtless when you comment on other people's eating habits or body or anything like that, because it could be damaging. Now, how they handled it was just sort of, it was forced,
and she also had the power to say, hey, I
actually said that, but I didn't mean it.
I said it, but I didn't mean it. And they took it out of context and ran with it. And I'm so sorry. And what can I do to make it right? Versus lying, but again, it was 2 episodes on what probably started out as a good idea in the writer's room. And then when put to paper, didn't deliver the way you'd want it to.
And the people who actually started the rumor don't get punished or in trouble.
It felt like they didn't quite crack the code with it when they were writing.
I think if she had started that rumor intentionally, it would have made her too bad of a character.
But it would have made more sense, because then you would say that is a kind of shitty thing that you could do when you're 16 that could have real consequences and you could learn your lesson. But she said it in passing as a nasty comment.
And also, what lesson did the 2 girls that actually spread the rumor, Shira and the other one, and Shira and trouble. What lesson did they learn? What growth did they have from it? Nothing. And when we get into the things that were problematic about the writing and about the characters, I mean, that's a great area that it seems a bit weird that Davey learns this huge lesson and grows from it. But Shira, the obnoxious Jewish girl, doesn't.
She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't. She does
learns nothing and has no growth and doesn't feel any consequence.
They know that those girls actually started the rumor and have no consequence whatsoever.
No, well, they have a consequence until it's discovered that she was the one that told them. Their original consequence is that they can't be part of the
spreading
dance.
something vicious and unverified wasn't the issue. It was that. And I will say, though, Megan Suri, who plays Anissa, I thought was fabulous. And I like that character. And it seems like she's staying in the show. And I like to see her in the dynamic, partially because I find Fabiola and Eleanor, is that the?
Eleanor,
yeah.
And Eleanor to be annoying
unbearable
people.
Yeah.
Like not the actors, they're great, but their characters are annoying. Like they're
too caricature-y. Like it's not.
Well, they didn't.
Fun.
I think in the writers' room it seemed a good idea. It's a great point, Becky. I don't think those characters were thought through, that they were going to end up having their own story arcs with boyfriends and girlfriends and relationships with their moms and their stepmoms, and you really have to have like we never needed to like get too in deep into Kimmy Gibbler's personal life, right? Like she was a side character who provided like her role, and that's fine. But like, if you're going to give me all this background story, then you got to make the character
more multidimensional.
They're the three main characters on a certain level, but they really aren't. Ben, Paxton, and Davey and the mother really eat up all the screen time.
And then Kamala gets a ton of screen time this season at least.
But Kamala's story was, for what they were trying to prove, they could have done a lot more.
Also, that conclusion of that story is, well, I'm just going to change rotations anyways. So who cares?
Is that what she does in the end?
She's doing like him diarrhea, so he has to go to the bathroom, and then she adds her name to the paper covertly.
Got it.
But then it doesn't matter anyways.
Wait, hold on. Let us support a good diarrhea scene.
For sure, absolutely.
And kudos to you, PJ Byrne, for your performance.
A legend playing a villain. I mean.
But to be fair, it's not even like a creative diarrhea. She just buys him a coffee.
It's milk because he's lactose intolerant. Is he also supposed to be Jewish? Oh my God.
No, I don't think his character's supposed to be. Okay, so let's get into it. We've alluded to it.
But he has a Jewish stomach. Is that
This is a show.
And his name is Evan.
This is a show that does a beautiful job celebrating diverse characters, rich characters, deep characters. Yet when it comes to its Jewish characters, like they're terrible. Like Ben is the best one, and and not only that are they terrible, they're all terrible, filled with stereotypes about Jews. And I don't know if anybody's been paying attention of the like rampant anti-Semitism that's been going on right now. That is definitely of concern to me, and we're not going to get into all of those details. But the way the Jewish characters are portrayed is not just that they're bad people, but all of them seem to be exhibiting some sort of like horrific trope. Like Ben, who is the nicest one, is materialistic, wants to beat everyone, and even his story about his like great grandmother is about like why it made him successful and rich one day. You know.
Well, no, it's about why it's about his family line surviving so that he could be born.
Right. So he could be born, but it's very self-centered.
It's very narcissistic. Everything is about himself.
And then Shira is like every detail about her, from the way she talks to the fact that at the end, like just an odd detail that she talks about how her dad's car dealership sponsored the prom. Like that has nothing to do with this show.
Or threatens them.
Threatens them, I guess. Yeah. Like, but that's the best they could do. And then the name is like the most Jewish name. It's like Liebman or Lieberman car dealership, and they have that spread everywhere. I really, so that's another terrible Jewish character. And then Malcolm is Jewish, who, right? His character is Jewish.
Yeah, because he and Ben went to Hebrew school together.
Oh, right. He and Ben went to Hebrew school together.
Like terrible character. He's just.
Oh, what are you talking about? He's abusive and manipulative.
Right, but I don't think those are. I think.
All right, those aren't Jewish stereotypes.
Of Jews. It just happens to be a Jewish bad character.
Right, a Jewish bad character. And then I read somewhere that Eve is Jewish, which I don't think picks up on that. And I would say like she's a good character, I guess, but not exactly multidimensional. And
then Mr. Shapiro is.
And also, I don't think you get to just create a stereotype like Shira, because you say, oh, but then I have this other really bland character and they happen to be Jewish and they're not offending anyone. It's not like a
because
point system where you get to have Shira because you have Eve if she's Jewish. It doesn't work that way.
Also, Eve doesn't really exhibit any like truly Jewish identifying characteristics anyway. So it's not even like it's being balanced. It's like, oh, that one's Jewish, but not
really, but you
Jewish.
Wouldn't know.
Whereas like the Jewish characters played by Jews, at least I assume Jaron Lewison is Jewish. He is. I looked up his bio. The woman who plays Shira, Adam Shapiro plays Mr. Shapiro, right? So the three Jewish actors playing the most Jewish characters, as opposed to the other characters who may or may not be and are played by sort of like more traditional, good-looking people, are also nebbishy and offensive. Adam Shapiro bothers me. The Mr. Shapiro character bothers me a lot because the Mr. Shapiro character, who is overcompensating with like this like overt performative liberal wokeness, really is. There are so many Jewish people that we know, and that people know that are deeply committed to causes of social justice. And the idea that in this show, which is about richness and celebrating different people, the fact that his commitment to that is reduced to sort of like this performative joke thing. It isn't even, I mean, like, it could be a joke, but it could still be somehow connected to the fact that like it's part of his values. Instead, it's just,
that he's just not such an idiot that like Davey's able to be like, well, you're spreading toxic masculinity by not letting him redo his test. And that just, I mean, that's a funny joke in and of itself. I get that. But his character in that moment is seen as, he's so pathetic that, and you know, the individual jokes are funny about the multiple choice and your feelings about history. Like, but when you add the sum up of all that character by the end of this season,
there's nothing beyond it. Again, there's nothing,
and it's like unbearable to watch, like how much of an idiot they make him out to be.
Mr. K is this like connected, down to earth, you know, not a caricature, pretty much seems like a normal person. So it's possible to write.
Cool.
Right. Super cool. So it's possible to write a character of a teacher that's not a caricature, but just not for the Jewish one.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, I think all the other professionals at the school.
And again, you have her therapist, incredibly well-written character. Tough, direct, sincere, the principal, like all of these really phenomenal, but we reserve the one that we just laugh at, the caricature, for the Jewish character. It seems a bit obvious. That's all.
Yeah, and again, back to the Shapiro character, I think in the context of everything that's going in the world right now, it's a little bit invalidating.
And I don't know how you guys
of the commitment that people in our community have had.
And you know, I don't know how you guys feel about the fact that, like, obviously the Goldbergs has a running theme about their Jewishness, and there's plenty of jokes about being Jewish in that show. And I assume for Indian people who are watching this show, they'll like jokes about the Indian girl coming to visit the family and knowing, you know, the only friend that knows to take off their shoes and ask the grandma the right questions. And Eleanor comes in and storms in. There's like all these cultural inside jokes, but they're not making fun of the culture of the people. They're like celebrating it with humor. Mm-hmm. Whereas Mr. Shapiro and Shira are just like reduced to nasty kind of portrayals. And it's not the same. You can clearly see that, like, well, you could, you know, I maybe someone would say, well, they make fun of Indian people all the time on the show. Not the same. You're celebrating the culture with humor, kind of like the Goldbergs. Although I don't know if Jonathan Branthman, you know, wonderful contributor to the podcast and professor, you know, he finds the portrayal of the mom offensive on the Goldbergs. But I think the spirit is at least to celebrate the culture with humor. And here it's like, it's not.
Yeah. And that really
not hitting the mark.
And I have to say, I would have been okay with a somewhat by the numbers second half of the season, you know, like regular Wonder Years kind of style thing in the second half of the season. But I was really put off by the way, again, it was like every detail really, really irritated me about the way the Jewish characters were constantly being portrayed. So that hung with me throughout the show. Okay, but let's also have a little bit of, so that I hope they improve this. Like, Mindy Kaling's amazingly talented. I don't know if this is this. I don't know if this is intentional or not, but I hope that they add a little nuance next season, especially if Ben's going to be a love interest. Like,
they need to elevate his character a little more.
Right. Yeah. Let's not make the only reasons why he's good have nothing to do with the fact that he's Jewish. Right. Have be in spite of his Jewishness and his selfish, materialistic parents and all that crap. Okay, let's talk though. Let's have some fun. Let's play a little buy rent meh with ships. Okay, the main three: Paxton and Davey, Trent and Eleanor, because Trent and Eleanor go to the prom together at the end. I'm not gonna do what's his name, Malcolm, because he sucked. And Eve and Fab. Which of those do you buy? Which do you rent? And which do you meh?
Okay,
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, I will say that I'm gonna buy Paxton and Davey, even though I don't believe that. Like, I find it really not believable. They had a whole season. Herring. Yeah, they had a whole season to kind of curate that. There was a possibility. I thought when they were studying, like, there were some very cute teenage rom-com like tropes in there that I thought they were doing well with, this being the study buddy and being friends. But then when he starts like trying to hook up with her secretly in the room, I was like, okay, that's a different movie. Now we just changed teenage rom-com movies to something else. And so, okay, fine. But I do like that she, like Becky said, she stands up for herself. I don't want to be a secret girlfriend. It's really annoying that then she's hit by a car after she does that. I found that a bizarre choice to hit her with a car and then have them go to prom together. It made her look like an idiot. But I can't avoid the fact that I think Paxton is extremely hot. So I'm buying that.
That's how they get you. I mean, he's very well cast because, like Davey, you keep getting sucked back in.
Like, exactly. I was like, oh, he's on the screen. Never mind about the Jews. What? I was just like, that isn't one good looking kid.
Oh, slouch just a little bit more and look up with your puppy dog eyes. Okay.
Okay, exactly. So I'm gonna buy them because I'm like, I'm watching the show. I
have to tell you, I can't stand his character. To me, his character.
I think they tried to do better this year.
I think he's really. They really put effort into having him.
Yeah,
it's the most cliche pretty boy kind of thing.
Sure, but I think
and also his relationship with his sister could have been something really interesting, and she was like deleted from the show.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, that is true.
But that's not about him and Davey. That's something else.
Yeah. So I'm gonna buy them just because if I have to watch Davey like do like whatever, be me.
Oh, okay, well, since Lily got booted off the call, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna
Lily just disappear. Hopefully she'll come back.
Should we wait?
She's probably still talking in my.
Should we wait or should I go?
No, keep going.
Okay, so I'm gonna actually buy Eve and Fab because I do think they're a really cute couple who want to support each other.
I think they ultimately Eve and Fab really earn. Like, I find the characters kind of annoying, but their relationship really
they've earned it, and they worked on it, and they respect each other, and they want to support each other. I'm gonna rent Trent and Eleanor because I think that'll be really funny for like a couple, for like an episode, and then it'll be over. And the reason I'm gonna met Paxton and Davey is, I mean, I agree with Lily. He's a super hottie. I want to keep him around, but I just feel like they've done too many shitty things to each other for me to ship them at this point. So that's what I feel like for them as a ship. It's like they've really been crappy to each other. That should not happen anymore.
My switch is I would, just so you know, Lily, updating you since you're back now. Becky and I both buy Even Fab. Becky, I'm gonna rent Davey and Paxton because, like, at least it's serving the story. Trent and Eleanor, I can't stand Trent, and I can't stand Eleanor.
I know,
and
right?
They were
it's
both just
true.
mashed together at the end of the season
stupid.
because they were the two leftover characters.
I think you are right. I think I had the correct answer.
Now let's buy rent the adults. Okay, the adult relationship.
I just want to say I too rent Fab and Eve because at least, even though Fab is not a great character, at least she stands up for herself too, and wears a t-shirt to prom.
I like that part. That's a great that was a great moment in that show. I felt for Fab when she was trying to change her look, and she was sort of, relationships can do that to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's the adults, and this one's gonna have a little controversy because there's gonna be two Kamala ones. So adults, Kamala and Mr. K, because we see the hints of that right at the end of the season. Nirmala and Dr. Jackson, played by Common, who's just so cool. He's really funny and cool.
He's too. I mean, did you not feel like watching this? So you're like, you're too cool for this show.
He was so cool and handsome just all the time, but also he had some really funny deadpan jokes. And then Kamala and her previous boyfriend that she ditched her previous boyfriend for.
What's his name?
I don't remember his name at all. And which of these do you buy? Which of these do you rent? And which do you meh? Lily?
So I'm going to buy, I think you don't have her name right, though. I don't know where you're getting that name. The character's name is Nalini.
Oh, Nalani. You're right.
Nalani. Sorry, they call her.
I think is the grandma.
The grandmother.
Nalani.
Yeah,
right.
Nalani, and then the dad called her Nalu, right, or something like that.
Yeah.
He had a nickname for her, Nalani, and so
although it would be funny to see Nirmala and Dr. Jackson. You're right.
Yeah.
Nalani,
right.
Sorry.
And so that's okay. And so I think I definitely buy them because he's so hot and she really deserves to be happy, and she's so sad, and it's been a year. So I'm like and I'm glad they didn't tie that all up pretty and easy in the season, because I think that's like a cool discovery. And it also opens up a whole new chapter for her and Davey as mother-daughter going through the second chapter now, I guess, of their grief over the father. And so this, was a catalyst for them to keep building their relationship deeper.
Isn't her boyfriend's name? Sorry, when we get to Kamala,
it's Prashant. It's Prashant. And Kamala, I'm gonna go with her and Mr. K because it's it's a clear path that she wanted somebody who gets her, who's Indian, right? Because she ends up leaving the other boyfriend who wasn't Indian. But she doesn't want someone who's Indian because she didn't want an arranged marriage that was so traditional. So Mr. K is like a perfect combo of those two.
And I think it's modern. One of the beautiful messages about this show that I do love is that you can embrace and love your culture and also chart your own path. So that's a great thing about this.
As much as I haven't seen Prashant do anything that I would be like, ew, he's not for her. He seems gorgeous and super nice. I think it's obvious.
Go along and tough it out.
I guess
that doesn't make him break upable.
No. I don't think it also makes him a chauvinist or anything. He was just giving some advice. I don't think that advice was that terrible, in the scheme of things, I guess. And so, I feel like it's obviously going to be her and Mr. K, and then I will met Kamala and Prashant, even though he's the hottest. Besides Paxton on the show. Okay.
So curveball, I'm gonna buy Nalani and Mohan because Mohan is so gorgeous.
He's not on this list, but
but he's so gorgeous.
He's dead.
But he's so gorgeous.
I feel like
every time there's a flashback, I'm like,
that's true. My wife has the same thing. She says, that is a handsome man.
That is a very I'm like, does Davey realize how handsome her father was? Because he's so good looking. Okay, fine. But I needed to call out the casting on this show, the number of gorgeous men on this show is really, it's a lot. Okay. I'm gonna, I don't know, I'll agree with Lily. And I just think that it's fun to see Kamala have chemistry with Mr. K, because she really just doesn't have any chemistry with Prashant, even though he's so gorgeous and seems very sweet.
He's nice and he brings her food, but he just might not be her.
He brings her so much food. He's so cute, but just might not be for her. All right, can we talk about White Lotus?
Well, I just want to do the side characters.
Oh, sorry.
Quickly.
I don't even know who these side characters are.
Rosalie and Eric.
Who are Rosalie and Eric?
The one Eric's was from robotics, and Rosalie he met at the party
because he stole her hat.
He stole her hat. Yeah.
Jonah.
That was actually very
That's
funny.
a really funny bit.
Jonah from Robotics and Jonah's boyfriend. I don't know if they delivered a name. And then the musical proposal for whoever.
I'm not even doing this. Can we just skip this? I'm just skipping this. This is terrible.
Let's talk about White Lotus. White Lotus is on HBO. We're 4 episodes in. People get into this show and watch it with us because it's very intriguing. It's very intriguing. Weird. It's very uncomfortable.
I'm surprised you're watching something that's so uncomfortable, Shy.
He falls asleep through a lot of it, but
I've seen just enough of it.
Oh my God. Did you guys see the most recent episode with Molly Shannon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. She's so good. She's so good.
Let's set up the show for the listeners.
It is created by the great master of awkward, Mike White.
Master of awkward. Yeah. And School of Rock. He's also made some like very normal movies. But then he's also a master of awkward. Didn't he also do The Good Girl?
Good Girl and Chuck and Buck, which are tough movies.
Okay, so this is about a 5-star resort in Hawaii, and you're following over the course of, let's say, I think it's about a week or maybe 10-day vacation. You're following the VIP guests. So it's a family of 4 with and one of the children has brought her friend with her. You're following a honeymoon couple and a single older woman who's there to spread her mother's ashes. So you're following these as like your main VIP guests, and then some core hotel staff, and just decrepitness of how people can behave in so many different ways with each other, with strangers.
But I will just I will interrupt you to say it's not. I don't find it like a miserable show. You're not just watching people be miserable.
No, it's very intriguing. It's very
and
intriguing.
There's a mystery, and you know it starts off with there's some
mystery. There's been a murder or a death. Not even a murder. There's been a death.
And by the end of the week, we'll find out who it is.
Exactly.
Every episode, we're guessing.
I find it's dark, but it's also very funny.
I've been sticking with I have a very dark suspicion, and I've been sticking with it throughout.
Oh, we'll
get to predictions soon.
Okay.
So yeah, you're getting through this week of these relationships. The standout performances, Jennifer Coolidge, I think is just amazing as a very depressing character. Not her usual. I mean, it's her, but
she's kind of doing Jennifer Coolidge, but like her typical.
A serious Jennifer Coolidge.
It's more serious. And I think the other standout is Steve Zahn, who is just
Connie Britton's
excellent.
Connie Britton delivers as always. She does such a good straight man, you know, like delivering the lines so deadpan, so straight.
But when we say standout, I think it's just like people are good, but then all of a sudden are like a phenomenal in a show. She's always amazing, so it's like a given that she's always amazing. But Steve Zahn is like bringing it on another level.
I feel like I love her outfits.
Oh, Connie,
I want to go to a resort and wear all those clothes.
Alexandra Daddario, I think, is excellent, and then the guy who ruined The Office is good as a bad guy.
The one that plays her. The guy that ruined The Office.
Yeah, the guy that they brought at the last minute.
In the last minute.
Jake Lacey?
I don't know. To fall in love with Ellie Kemper's
Something
character.
Lacey? Oh.
And they ruined the whole.
But he's great. He's been in so much stuff. He was in Obvious Child, which he was so good in.
Yeah, he's great.
In tons of stuff that he's amazing.
But his character ruined The Office.
But his character on this show, it's so cringy. You can't stop watching it. That's what the difference is. I feel like Succession is miserable people being miserable, and this is just cringy.
But you can't stop because it's funny enough.
Because it's so cringy.
But I will say,
we're up to episode 4, and while everyone is super cringe, the son of the family is the only one so far showing actual growth and change and having a positive arc, and I'm really interested in that. That for me is like enough of a carrot dangling to say, hey, not everyone is going to be super miserable all the time. Someone might have
also
a positive change.
Belinda, the character of Belinda, played by Natasha Rothwell, I think she's also sort of like this little beacon of light.
No, not really, because
good person.
She's a good person, but she's also very she's also like, and listen, all the power to her, but she's basically being nice to this rich white lady because she
was nice to her before. I think she's a good
she
character.
Turns it on. She hardcore turns it on every time she's with her.
I think it's more like Jennifer Coolidge is dangling this money.
The money.
Oh yeah, well she's using the money to manipulate her. It's
I think Belinda is not a bad so far when I
don't think she's a bad person, but I
think she's just like a person who's been put in like horrible awkward positions at her place of work and it's like trying to navigate.
But Armand, can we please talk about the phenomenal performance and story so far of Armand that is just
played by Bartlett, who's been in a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, he's funny as the hotel manager who's just unraveling. Also, my favorite part of the show is how he's constantly messing with dude who ruined the office. Like he could just do the thing he asked, but he keeps saying finding ways to say no and screw with them, which I find hilarious.
Yeah, and he knows what he's doing. Like he's doing it on purpose. And anyways, it's great.
So who's your MVP so far, Beck?
My MVP so far is for sure Armand because he is just the wildest character, and he is or you know what? Maybe Steve Zahn.
Yeah, Steve Zahn is mine.
No,
Steve Zahn is mine, but I feel like
Armand is my MVP, and Armand is my MVP because I think he's really at the center of all of this.
Okay, all right, Lily, how about you?
Steve Zahn so far is my MVP because I think that like his different he's the one I think that has most interacted with all the other characters.
Oh, it's true.
So he's sort of like connecting in a way everybody.
But not really, because he doesn't. I
think he's talked to Rachel, he's talked to Armand.
Not to Jennifer Coolidge though.
At the dinner, at the dinner their families interacted.
His weird interactions with Armand are like,
I don't know. I think so for him, but I would say the character that's essential for the whole show to work is Armand's character, is the hotel manager character.
Well, it's like 4 rooms. It's that person that weaves all the stories.
He actually does weave the whole thing together.
I'm gonna go with dude from The Office because he's so despicable that I feel like he's a bit of a red herring because the show starts with a shot of him looking at this coffin, and I think that like he really needs to work as the villain for it all to come together. So he's my MVP so far. How about your LVP? I mean, my LVP are those 2 teenagers, and I think that's like on purpose.
Just the daughter.
No, I think
Olivia.
Just Olivia.
If I brought my kid on vacation and her friend like brought a pharmacy of drugs with her and they started doing them.
But the whole point is that the parents didn't even know. Oh, I guess they did know. What are you running, a Mexican pharmacy?
It was terrible, but I just can't stand those 2 kids. They're so ungrateful and judgy of these people who are trying to just be nice to them.
Every time one of those girls make me so anxious about teenagers. That it's the hardest part of the show for me is watching those 2 assholes talk and the way they talk to the brother. However, the interactions between Connie Britton and them is amazing, especially when the friend is constantly talking about her ailments and Connie Britton's like, that's not a thing. Like she had too much fruit or whatever. She's this, she's that. And Connie Britton's like, no. And and the difference in philosophy between Connie Britton and the girls is really, I like that's getting teased out a lot. So they're the worst, but essential to the show.
All right, now what are your predictions for who's in the coffin? My prediction, this is very dark, but my prediction is that it's going to be Belinda.
Well, I think it's going to be Belinda too.
I think Jennifer Coolidge's character or something is going to cause Belinda to die, which is terrible. When as the show's going on, I'm sort of like, oh no, I don't know if I
think it's Jennifer Coolidge.
So here's the thing. I think it's Belinda, but at the same time, right now, Belinda and the and the Jake Lacey character, they have no interaction, and in some way the person's death has to affect him very deeply because
I think Jake Lacey's character is affected by the fact that his wife left him.
He's gonna leave him
because he even cares about the person that died.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
That's
he doesn't give a shit.
So then that's why it's Belinda. But
right. I think it's Jennifer.
But right now, the way things are going, it makes the most sense that it would be Armand that dies, right?
Well, they've already faked you out by making you think he's going to die, but he's dead in the car at one point. Yeah. So he's not going to die. I think it's going to be Belinda just because I feel like Jennifer Coolidge's story is set on tragedy. Like there's like a.
So it's going to have a happy ending?
No, it's going to have a tragic ending. Because
no, I feel like hers is set for tragedy. Like I think Alexandra Daddario is going to leave her husband. I don't think anything terribly tragic is going to happen to the
kids,
to the kids or the family. And so
I'm going to do my most improved is the son, because I think by the end of the show, he's going to kind of be the only, like everyone's going to have these very traumatic experiences there. And he's going to be the one that comes out of it going, wow, I really love nature and I feel more connected to it. I don't need
my devices
and
anymore.
I have more confidence.
And he's this guy, I think he's rediscovering his sexuality, or opening up his sexuality.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think like he's up to episode 4. I believe he's going to continue to improve.
I will say that this is 158% the type of show that should have been released altogether. Because if I had to watch the first 4 episodes week by week, I would not have gotten the rhythm, the colors. Like
this is a show that works well as a
the way they use light on the show is
the
amazing.
Filters are
you notice that it's always overcast unless it's a dream sequence.
Now
it's always overcast.
Now, Beck, is that just filters though?
It's
on the camera, or did they just get lucky?
It's color correction. No,
okay, but it's not like they got lucky and shot it all.
No. It's because of the filters they're using, and it's because of how they color correct it. Also,
it's amazing.
A lot of it is done in color.
Although
grading.
Lily did have one like realism question, which is when the friend of the teenager is having sex with the
timing of the that was Allie too.
No,
the timing of
that's for storytelling purposes,
right?
But it was like 6 p.m. Like if you look
like it was right after dinner. It was weird, and like no one's
she had snuck out. No, she had snuck out, and Olivia
very
like
light
the light
out,
was
though.
Still in the sky.
Right, like the sun is setting.
I mean,
I don't know.
Well, maybe the sun sets really late at that time of year.
No, it has to be wintertime, because whenever they come down for breakfast, there's a comment about Armand, like I don't open the spa till 9, and then after that it's breakfast time, so it's probably between 8:30 and 9 everyone's having breakfast, and the sun is still rising, so it's got to be dead of winter, January, like Christmas time, something like that, because the sun is rising very late and it's setting.
It would set early.
Oh wait, that doesn't make sense then.
I don't know.
So
anyway,
I would say like it's the continuity there is a bit off, but other than that, I think I'm glad I was able to watch the first 4 episodes, because if not, I don't think I would have kept up with the show, and I think it's really worth it. So now I'm into it, so I'll watch it week by week. But I recommend people watching the first 4 episodes straight through, like not at one sitting, but on HBO.
So all in all, though, this way through, we haven't seen the whole season, but I give it a buy. Lil?
Yeah. Oh, so far, yeah, for sure.
Beck?
I give it a buy so far.
Okay. So now as we get into shoutouts and recs, we're going to premiere a new segment, not a segment, a piece of our shoutouts and recs, because we've been saying buy, rent, meh for movies and TV shows for now almost 4 years. Almost 4 years we've been doing this show. Started in October 2017. It's August. And it's time to start really bestowing the proper, like how there's a New York Times bestseller, or like The Hungry Caterpillar had that weird seal on it. We need our own Friday night movie seal. Movies and TV shows that are official buys of Friday night movie. And my goal, or our goal, is to do this every week, is to list something that is an official buy of the show, and we will list it out. These won't necessarily be something new. Sometimes it'll be new, sometimes it'll be old. Plus we have archives to get through. And as our inaugural buys, which means it's recommended by all 3 of us to own in your collection, like go and buy it. We're going to start with a pair of films by 2 creators who are guests on the show. And these are 2 films by Gabriel Diani and Devine, and they are The Selling, which you can get on iTunes now, and Diani and Devine Meet the Apocalypse, which you can get on Amazon. It was on Amazon Prime, but now I think you can just purchase it. Both are delightful movies made by delightful, hilarious people. And I would say those are official buys of Friday Night Movie. With that, let's get to our other shout outs and recommendations. I have a bunch. Do you want me to just go into them quickly? Because you guys
go ahead.
Okay, number one, Leah Jones, friend of the show, host of Finding Favorites. She has started a spin-off show called Candy Chat, where she and her co-host Jocelyn talk about candy. And they talked about combos in the first episode. They talked about road trip snacks. So that's available on Podbean right now, but I'm sure it's going to be available everywhere soon. Check out Candy Chat with Leah Jones. It is delicious. Then I'll say that a hot take. I've been watching a lot of Transformers, the original cartoon, with my nephew Ari, and Transformers, the movie and season 3 are my hot take as the best section of the Transformers lore. Bleacher's new album, Take the Sadness Out of Saturday Night. Absolutely wonderful. We've been having listening parties nonstop. And then Good on Paper, starring Ryan Hansen as I guess there's a little mystery there, and Margaret Cho, and who's the main actor? Eliza Schlesinger. That surprised me. It wasn't what I expected it would be, and it was really cool. Jungle Cruise was a snooze.
The first half was good.
Yeah, the first half was like the Mummy.
Delightful, and then it's too long, so I don't care. Like, it's not my fault. Like, it's not making movies 3 hours long or 7 hours long. I don't know how long that movie was.
And then, last but not least, on Vimeo, there's a buddy from the world of social media and one of the hosts of the We Don't Know What We're Talking About podcast. She made a beautiful, touching short documentary called Invisible Ribbon. You can, if you go to Rachel Krakty's Instagram, you can get the link on Vimeo, Invisible Ribbon, and it is a really touching story about lung cancer and destigmatizing lung cancer. It's very personal to her and her family, but it's also a raising awareness about, that lung cancer goes beyond just people who are smokers. And I thought it was a really moving and brave film, and people should check that out. Lily, what about you? Any recommendations?
I've mostly been watching everything you've been watching. I want to re-recommend Hacks because we eventually will have to do a bit of a deep dive on that. I love that show. And then Atypical on Netflix. I'm enjoying the last season, the final season, and I don't have time to watch any. With all the time I'm watching with you, I don't have.
We've been watching I'm Sorry also with Andrea Sad.
Oh yeah, that's 2 seasons, and that's pretty funny. I'm enjoying Andrea Savage a lot. That's very true.
How about you, Beck? What Rex and shout outs?
Yeah, I've been watching Hacks this week. I've been getting into that. White Lotus, I think we're already talking about everything that I've been watching, and I'm continuing to listen to my new favorite podcast, Braving the Elements, with Janet Barney and Dante Bosco from Avatar Verse. It's so wonderful. If you are an Avatar fan, I highly, highly recommend.
Yeah, it's awesome. And if you haven't watched that show, that's well, maybe that'll be an official buy in the future. But Lily will have to have seen it, because all 3 of us have to have seen it and loved it for it to be an official buy.
Lil, no pressure.
Friday Night Movie.
Why don't you just watch the most important show
animated
to your brother and sister ever created?
Yeah, I would say this is the show Becky and I love together the most. Not to mention the fact that Dragon Prince is genius also.
Oh, Lily, you would love Dragon Prince. You need
to
watch it.
But you can't watch Dragon Prince without
watching. Becky has gotten into this genre.
You know how many hours Becky and I have spent talking about? Like, well, Becky's watching the show. She'll call me and we'll break it down. And when every time you watch it, it's like, I've seen the whole thing so many times. Oh my gosh. Okay. Becky, where can people follow you?
At Paper BK Princess on Twitter. I think I tweeted something. Oh yeah, I tweeted about Braving the Elements.
There you go.
That's right.
Lily, where can people follow you?
They can follow me at Chichi, ChiChiK Gomez on Twitter.
And you can follow me at Pancake and the number 4 table on Twitter and Instagram. All of the Friday Night Movie shenanigans are available at Friday Night Movie on the social platforms or FridayNightMoviePod.com. Rate us, review us, particularly 5-star ratings, and take the time to say something you like about the show. Give us a buy, rent, or a meh, ideally a buy. And please join us in supporting the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, Equal Justice Initiative, and Asian American Journalists Association. And with that, the theme music from What Does It Eat will kick in, and we will dance our way into the afternoon. Bye, guys.
Bye.